Today we will talk about triaxial shear test. In the last class we talked about the direct shear test and we determined the shear strength parameter using direct shear test. Direct shear test was inexpensive and quick, but the major disadvantage of that test was in that test a soil sample fails in a predetermined plane and that may not be the weakest plane. So the shear strength parameters determined from that test may not simulate the actual field condition. But this shortcoming can be overcome by triaxial shear test. Before going to the details of triaxial shear test, I want to discuss about the Mohr-Coulomb failure criteria and Mohr circle. In the last test, you got idea about the Mohr-Coulomb failure criteria, which states a critical combination of a soil at which the soil sample will fail. And we know that the Mohr-Coulomb failure criteria is a straight line if we plot it in the sigma tau plane. And from the Mohr-Coulomb failure line, we can determine the cohesion and angle of internal friction from that soil. Higher the values of the shear strength parameters, the higher will be the shear strength. In other words, we can say that if we know the shear strength parameters of a soil sample, we can draw the Mohr-Coulomb failure line. Now the Mohr-Coulomb Mohr circle of a soil element. If we collect a soil element, then there will be all around stresses. Suppose we can denote the particle stresses by sigma 1 and the horizontal stresses by sigma 3. And with these stresses, we can draw a circle which we called a Mohr circle, and the diameter of that circle will be sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, and center of that circle will be sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. Previously I said that if we know the shear strength parameter, then we can draw the Mohr-Coulomb failure line. And now we will draw the Mohr circle at that plane. Suppose we are collecting the soil sample from Y point and we are trying to plot the Mohr circle for that point. As Y point lies below the failure surface, so the Mohr circle for the Y point will lie below the Mohr-Coulomb failure line. If we collect one soil sample from X point, then the Mohr circle of that point will touch the Mohr-Coulomb failure line because we have collected the soil sample from failure surface. So from the Mohr circle and failure envelope, we can get idea whether the soil sample will be stable or it will fail. Now come to the Mohr circle. At first, before constructing a structure, there is the in situ soil stresses and there will be all around soil stresses that we can define as confining stresses. So the sigma 1 and sigma 3 for that element will be equal, that is sigma c, confining stresses. So initially Mohr circle will be a point because sigma 1 and sigma 3 will coincide and it will become a point. Then we are constructing a structure like suppose embankment. That means we are applying additional load. So the particle stresses will increase. So our sigma 1 will become sigma c plus del sigma and sigma 3 will remain equal to sigma c. Now if we want to draw a Mohr circle, it will be like that. Now it will not fail because the Mohr circle of that point is below the Mohr-Coulomb failure line. And if we want to increase the height of the embankment, then what will happen? We are increasing the height of the embankment, means we are increasing the additional load. So our sigma will increase further and the diameter of our Mohr circle will increase. If we increase the height again, then diameter will increase and one certain point it will touch the Mohr Coulomb failure line. When the Mohr circle will touch the Mohr Coulomb failure line, then the failure will occur. So we need to know when the soil sample will fail. Now here is a Mohr circle. I think you have more clear idea from theoretical soil mechanics class. If we want to determine the stresses at any plane, we can determine it from Mohr circle. Suppose we want to determine the stresses at a plane which is inclined at theta degree from the horizontal. So we can determine the pole of the Mohr circle and draw a parallel line, and then we can determine the stresses on that plane by Mohr circle also. And we can also calculate the effective stresses from total stress Mohr circle if we know the pore pressure of that soil samples. Then we can subtract the pore pressure from the total stresses, and we will get the effective stress Mohr circle. Now, how to determine these parameters? We know that there are several laboratory methods and field methods also. In the last class we discussed about the direct shear test. Our today's topic is triaxial shear test. What is the difference between two tests? We will try to simulate the field condition in our laboratory test. In the field, suppose we have collected a soil sample from Z depth from the ground surface. Then there will be some vertical stresses and horizontal stresses as well. We can suppose that our vertical stresses is sigma p and horizontal stresses are sigma h. Now we are constructing a footing or that soil sample. Before and after construction, the difference is there will be some additional load from the vertical direction. So our sigma 1 will be sigma p plus del sigma, and sigma 3 will be equal to sigma h. And we will try to simulate this field condition in our laboratory test. For doing the laboratory test, first we have to collect a soil sample from the field. At first, when the representative soil samples taken from the site, there will be no all-around pressure. So we have to simulate that condition by applying some initial stresses. Then our loading phase, that will simulate the construction of a footing or construction of other structures. We will simulate that phase by applying the corresponding stress condition. The main advantage of triaxial test is that we can simulate these two conditions and our soil sample will fail at its weakest point. Where the direct shear test, we force the soil sample to fail in a fixed horizontal plane. This is a schematic diagram of triaxial shear test. So we will simulate the all-around soil pressure by applying a cell pressure by water. Then we will apply the deviator stress by piston. This is an image of actual triaxial test setup. Now we will describe a sample preparation for an undisturbed case. For undisturbed soil sample, we collected it by Shelby tubes. Then we trim the edges of the soil samples to make it a plane surface. Then we set up the soil sample in a triaxial cell. After that, we cover that soil sample with a rubber membrane and seal it so that water cannot pass through it. Then we will put that soil sample in a triaxial setup and we will fill the cell with water. And this water will simulate the all-around soil pressure. This is the triaxial test apparatus. Then we will apply the deviator stress and we will measure the deviator stress by proving ring, and we will also measure the particle displacement by dial gauge. And like our previous experiment, like direct shear test, we will also draw the stress strain curve and we will determine our failure stress. And also, like previous test, we will do the same test for at least 3 confining stresses. For different confining stresses, we will get different deviator stresses at failure. Here, one thing, we are simulating the fail condition in 2 phases. One is application of all around cell pressure and another one is loading phase. In both phases, we can keep our drainage valve open or we can keep that valve closed. Depending on that, we can classify the soil triaxial test in three groups. If we keep our drainage valve open during applying the all around cell pressure, then our soil sample will be consolidated, otherwise it will be unconsolidated. And if we keep the drainage valve open during the shearing or loading phase, then it will be, our soil sample will be drained, otherwise it will remain undrained. Depending on that we can classify the triaxial test in 3 groups. One is consolidated drain case, that means our drainage valve was kept open during both consolidation and drain loading phase. Then second one is the consolidated drain phase, that means drainage valve was open during consolidation phase but was closed during loading phases. And another one is unconsolidated undrained phase, that means for this test our drainage valve was kept closed for both. Depending on our field condition, we will choose one of the tests. For our today's demonstration, we will describe unconsolidated undrained test, that is UU test. For UU test, immediately after sampling, we have no all around pressure. Then we will apply the hydrostatic cell pressure. In that phase, you have to check the B value, that means Skempton's pore water pressure parameter, B value, and we have to check whether the soil sample is fully saturated or not by checking this B value. Our expected B value will be 1. And during the application of axial load, we need to check A value, another Skempton's pore water pressure parameter, and we need to check this value during loading phase. And as it is a UU test, we will keep our drainage valve closed both during application of cell pressure and during loading phase. Well, now the test is complete. We have the data. We will have the data like our previous test. We will have the displacement data. We will also have the corresponding load data. But one thing, as our soil sample will be undrained and unconsolidated, so there will be no dissipation of excess pore water pressure. So the volume of the soil sample will change, and we need to calculate the corrected area for the soil samples. Suppose we know the initial diameter of the soil sample, so we can calculate the initial area, and we know the strain at every loading, so we have to divide the initial area by 1 minus strain. So in that way we can calculate the corrected area at every strain. So like previous test, we have to repeat the test for different cell pressure. So we will have different deviator stresses for corresponding cell pressure value, and we need to draw the Morse circle, and combining the 3 Morse circle or 4 Morse circle, we can draw a Mohr Coulomb failure line which will be tangent to all the circles. and from that Mohr Coulomb failure line we can determine our shear strength parameter. Okay, that's all from UU test. But another thing is that when we will choose our UU test, when we will construct the embankment very rapidly over a soft clay deposit, so there will be no chance of dissipation of the excess pore water pressure. Then in that case we can perform a UU test. Or if we want to construct a large earth dam rapidly, so there will be no change in water content of the soft clay, in that case we can also choose UU test. Or we want to construct a footing very rapidly on a clay deposit, then we can also choose a UU test. In a brief, UU test will be applicable for short-term condition. So undrained cohesion can be used to analyze the short-term behavior of our soils. So depending on the field condition, we have to choose different type of test. Okay. And here is some video links for your clarification of the actual laboratory test procedure. And I have uploaded the data for your test. For your lab report, you have to solve two problems. For problem 1, the triaxial test has been conducted for two different confining stress. In test 1, your confining stress is given and added deviator stress is given. So your sigma 3 will be equal to confining stress, and you have to calculate sigma 1. Then you have to draw a Mohr circle by hand. You have to draw your Mohr circle by hand means you have to draw it on a paper and using compass, not using any software. Then for test 2, similarly the confining stress and added deviator stress is given. You have to calculate your sigma 1 and you have to draw another Mohr circle. Then with these two Mohr circle, you have to draw the Mohr Coulomb failure line, which will be tangent to these two circles. Then from that line you have to calculate C and field. Okay. And your for problem 2, one Excel file has been provided. You have to calculate sigma 1 and sigma 3 from that data. At first you have to draw stress versus displacement curve for each confinement in separate graph, and from that graph you can calculate the deviator stress. You know your confining stress, that will be your sigma 3. Then you have to calculate sigma 1, which will be confining stress plus deviator stress. From sigma 1 and sigma 3, you have to draw 3 Mohr circle in one paper, and then you have to draw your Mohr Coulomb failure line, and in similar process you have to calculate your shear strength parameters. That's all from today. If you have any question, please feel free to contact with me. Thank you.